All right, all right. Hello, welcome everybody. You are here watching an awesome PromoStandards presentation tonight. I guess this will actually be Thursday at 11 a.m. But welcome everybody. I'm Jon Norris, Vice President of Operations at Starline USA. We are a supplier based out of Buffalo, New York. A few other quick things since I have to self-introduce myself. I'm the current chair of PromoStandards. That's awesome. Yay. Also, I'm a Promo Kitchen chef. Google it. It's pretty cool. And other than that, I've just been involved in PPI Technology Committee and the work group for Tech Week, Tech Summit for all these years. So we're going to see if we can start this party off. And maybe you guys can enjoy the next 3 hours of me presenting on PromoStandards. If you have any questions, I think there's a Q&A session after this. So write down all those awesome questions. You can always, text them to me, email me, banter them, either way, whatever works. And we're going to start this party. So let's see if we can get this screen share rocking here. And fire the weapon. All right, let's do this. So, today we're going to dive into PromoStandards, get a little technical, a little more technical since this is the Tech Summit, right? And some of this is a little bit of regurgitation from a presentation I did in Vegas, but I think we want to touch a little bit on the high-level business updates of PromoStandards, but at some point we really want to dive into the weeds of a few of the intricacies of what PromoStandards has been working on in 2020, a little bit of what we released at the beginning of the year, and kind of where we're going as an organization. So if you're new to the industry, new to PromoStandards, I'll kind of drop in a 50,000-foot bomb, kind of let everybody know what we're doing, and then we'll kind of roll from there. So we'll just kind of sit back. It's probably too early to be drinking, so you don't have to do any of that. We're just going to keep rocking. So let's start this thing up. I think I have about 340 slides. So like I said, we got about 3 hours of this. So let's hit it running. So what's PromoStandards? PromoStandards is the leading, and I'm not going to read all this stuff. You can read this for yourself, but this one's important to read. So PromoStandards is the leading integration standard in the promotional products workplace. Right? There are numerous other organizations out there that are that offer APIs, offer different integration standards, offer different integration toolkits. But right now, PromoStandards for the last 5 years has been far and away the leading integration standard. We've come from people who started doing ePSA in the early 2000s, and that imploded obviously and died a painful, horrible death. But we're not ePSA. We don't want to be ePSA. So PromoStandards, we have our own direction where we have we kind of get into a little bit of the history about where we came from, but just that as of right now, if you're looking to do integrations across the supply chain in our industry, PromoStandards is where it is at. So having said that, in 2019, we did a poll of some of our largest providers, both consumers and publishers of PromoStandards, and we estimate that there was well over 1 billion data requests using PromoStandards in 2019. So let that sink in a little bit. 1 billion. It's way a lot more than Dr. Evil's. So it's where it's at. I know at Starline we did about 48 million data requests last year using PromoStandards. I know the guys down in Florida at HIT were well over double that. So there's some real numbers that we're talking about here. This isn't some people passing back a few order statuses a day, and we're talking about millions and millions of transactions daily through the PromoStandards data structure. So who is PromoStandards? So this is the 50,000-foot overview for those of you who aren't familiar with PromoStandards and kind of what we're cooking here. So PromoStandards, as of end of 2018, is an official 501c6. Actually, just during the quarantine, we received our IRS paperwork that deemed us an official non-for-profit. So that's important to know, because we're not just a bunch of ragtag people just floating by doing what we want. We actually have a set of bylaws. We have a very strict set of regulations that are kind of rules and guidance that's really pushing our organization along. We put that in place to make sure that PromoStandards lives longer than us, right? It needs to be more than just the 10, 11 founders of the organization. We need to have a footprint that ensures the industry that we are doing the right things to drive adoption and really, do for the betterment and make a real impact on the industry, because that's what I'm here for. We are a 100% volunteer organization. As much as I'd like to get paid, I don't get paid. None of us get paid. We're here doing this because it's what we enjoy. It's what we like. It's what I like, and I think as the other founders, we have a very passion to making sure that this works. As of 2020, we started adding new members. So we're a membership-driven organization, right? If the members don't get involved and contribute, we don't get anything done. So you have a lot of organizations that have committed to PromoStandards who are really making the standards happen, making adoption happen, making membership happen. Everybody's got their sweet spot, and we're all in 2020 trying to get settled into that routine and make sure that we're putting the pieces in place organizationally that make this thing tick. But at the end of the day, and most importantly, and we can't lose sight of this, is PromoStandards is a standards body. At PromoStandards, we are developing standards for the promotional product industry, right? We like to say part of our mission is that we're reducing supply chain friction across the industry. So, while we need members to help fund and volunteer for the organization to support our legal obligations in 501c6, at the end of the day, we make standards, we develop standards, we rev them, we adopt them, and we just push for wide-scale adoption across the industry. So that's one of the most important things that we can do. That's right at PromoStandards. Real quick, kind of where we came from. This is kind of if you're not sure with what we're doing here. So we kind of started in 2014. Tim Nail from BIC and Eric Schoenberger from HIT really spearheaded this to do an inventory proof of concept and just make sure that, could suppliers actually agree to something and then get adoption from the distributors and service providers in our industry. We proved that worked. We actually presented that case study at the first ever PPI Tech Summit, which was in lovely Atlantic City, right? For those of you who haven't been there, it's a dump, so I would avoid it. So we did that proof of concept in 2014. I think that was in April, and we've really come a long way since then. So in 2015, Mr. Michael Conway, formerly at PCNA, now at ASI, he kind of really spearheaded this group to gather in Pittsburgh and really try to hone in on what it is we wanted to accomplish, and trying to develop different standards. We looked at order status, order ship notifications, and really the big kahuna of all of this was really product data. So kudos to Michael Conway for taking this from just some POC to reality. Then in 2017, we started, I think it was the first tech summit down in Texas, where it was 1,000 degrees. Texas is a great place to have a tech summit in the middle of August. It was in Austin, so we kind of spun up a kind of ragtag education event down there, and really made that happen. Then in 2018, Eric Alessi of Essent, Dale Denham of Geiger really started pushing for this concept of formalization. We realized we had something, and really at this point we wanted to protect it and make sure we're doing all the right things for the organization. So there we went. All right, awesome. So next after that, we started that formalization process. In 2019, we made bylaws, drafted them, formalized them, and really filed our paperwork to become a 501c6. And we ran that way as a kind of a trial organization for a year to make sure what we were doing was going to work. And then at the end of 2019, leading into 2020, we really felt confident we were ready for members. And then just as we were launching membership, the old Rona came through and kicked us all square across the back of the head and kind of gave us a reality check, I guess, as an industry and just as society in general. So we tapped the brakes for a few months, and now I think what we saw coming through the quarantine was a real double down of efforts to drive adoption, drive membership, and make sure that we're doing the right things as an organization. So back to the concept of, we are a volunteer organization. We have a board. our board is made up right now of myself and Eric Alessi and Dan Kroyman and Eric Schoenberger, make up an executive committee. But we also have, Mike Napick of Sandmar, Josh Martin of PCNA, Erwin Goldstein, one of the OGs of PromoStandards from Halo, Chuck Vandos, Mr. Promo, he's also on our board, Tim Nail, like I said, original POC, Dale Denham, he's been involved from the get-go. So we have a board of 10 people right now. Really, been around since day one. And I think what we are starting as a board is trying to plan those next steps of transitionary period and more of a succession plan to make sure that we're grooming and finding the next group of volunteers for PromoStandards so we can, start to take a step back, focus on some technology aspects of it, and make sure that we're leaving the organization in good hands. So, it's a 3+ year process, but it's something that's important to us because we've put 6 years into this to make sure that PromoStandards is heading in the right direction, and that we can leave it to the next group of volunteers who are going to run the board. Importantly, at the end of the day, this is about adoption, right? Membership's awesome. Membership funds the organization. Membership gets other people involved. But if people aren't adopting, none of that matters. So, where are we at with adoption? PromoStandards 10 is right now, even through the Rona, we are still continuing to grow at a pretty rapid pace. Now, we're not doing that doubling, right? Everybody knows, if we're looking at 7-day averages is all the race these days, we're not doing that explosive growth that we did for the last 3 years, but we're still seeing pretty steady growth. And, I think a lot of companies dialed back, not knowing what to expect in the last 6 months here. And we've started to see an uptick in the last 2 months of adoption, both on the distributor and service provider side, and as well as suppliers providing endpoints. One thing that's interesting, we've said this all along, there's companies out there that are solely developing business models based around PromoStandards, right? I think you're about to see some pretty interesting things out of Distributor Central, who has a pretty cool business model coming out with PromoStandards. Obviously, there's a lot of service providers building tools around what PromoStandards is doing. So that's awesome. Companies are selling ERPs with PromoStandards capabilities as a key feature, right? Look at the guys north of us in Toronto and the CommonSQ. They're doing some pretty cool things with, built-in functionality. Ascent, since day one, has had, PromoStandards functionality. Facilis, obviously, on the board. And another thing is, I think it's important is that we have built a community. We try, in the past, we've done multiple in-person events a year. Obviously, that's going to be tough, but the second we can fire that weapon again, I guarantee you I'll be out on the road trying to evangelize PromoStandards and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the industry. And then, there's other associations out there right now that are experimenting with PromoStandards. We've been having constant communications with PSDA, who's obviously the print side of the world, and they've determined that PromoStandards meets their needs. And people like, the giants, Ennis, and, the real players on the manufacturing side of the print world have come to the realization that PromoStandards can work in their industry. So, we've also reached out to the European aspects of it. We've also had, oddly enough, some communications to Australia as well. So, it's what we're doing, people are noticing, and it's pretty awesome. One of the things that we kind of, I've kind of touched on this before, we have this growth curve. This is really the supplier endpoints that are posted at promostandards.org. So obviously we started with the OGs down in 2014, which was a big hit in Starline. And then we convinced a few other people to come along with us. We got to 24 endpoints, 15. And you see we kind of came through 17 and 18 with some just ridiculous growth numbers. That 17, 18 jump was really fueled by a conviction by Staples promotional products, really made a big push in there. And now you're starting to see, a lot of other distributors, the Halos and Geigers of the world, and use Performance of the world are adopting Fastly and really pushing through their supply chains that this is what you need to be doing. Then the service providers coming along right behind them are obviously making a huge difference. So, while you're starting to see the top of the curve flatten a little bit, I'm personally attributing that to the Rona. And I think it's going to jump back. Typically we tend to see a ton of adoption right before our in-person events. So we would have seen before the in-person tech summit a pretty swift jump because nobody wants to go there and not have anything done. So I think we'll get that as we kind of roll through this, education period, and just kind of get through the grind. But very positive, still growing. That's impressive. I like to push this life cycle of the PromoStandards, kind of spectrum of our standards. So we want to talk about where we're at in terms of adoption, what it is we offer. So you really see that top 3 up there, that inventory, order status, OSN. That's the core, right? That's where we came from. We've grabbed inventory. We have 2 versions out there, 1 and a 2. Actually, next week, Josh Martin, Paul Fleischman, and I will be doing an inventory deep dive on the new inventory spec as part of a PromoStandards education session. So hop on over, check that out. It's good times. But you really see the core of adoption is in those 3 standards, right? That's where, if you're looking for, as Michael Conroy likes to call it, low-hanging fruit, order status, OSN, that's where it's at. So, if you're a supplier still standing on the sidelines, it's not too late. Get in at those levels. Don't try to jump in and tackle PPC on day 1, but get in. There's some easy wins to be had in widespread adoption on the consumption side across the distributor and service provider community in those 3 standards. Down at the bottom there, we have what's really that orange tier here, which is product data, product media, product pricing configuration. So that's the core of product data, right? The industry has longed for a solution for product data, and really across those 3 services, we really have hit it. So there's 89 suppliers out there who are rocking product data. That's amazing. 62 are kicking out some sort of media, which is images, some different supporting files, art templates, all that fun stuff. And then PPC, that's the monster that everybody's afraid of, but except for those 47 awesome suppliers who decided to tackle it and handle that. So, and my general take is, I'm going to dive into a little bit what's the difference between the 2 versions of product data out there. But if you're looking to transact business, e-commerce, and the promotional product industry, you really need to have product data, product media, and PPC all together in one. So if you're a supplier wondering, can I do one without the other? You could do product data 2.0 without the others. But if you want to transact configured purchase orders, you need to be doing all 3 of those. So don't shortchange them. It's not that difficult, but it does take some work. So get after that. And then obviously, I think Essent might have patented the term Holy Grail, right? There's a movie out there, but I think they still went out and trademarked the Holy Grail of the purchase order, right? So there are 34 awesome suppliers out there today who are rocking purchase order standards, meaning that they are fully ready to take configured purchase orders and make it rain in their system. And then what I have been pushing is the low-hanging fruit. If you are a distributor or service provider, is there's 33 suppliers out there with invoice standards. If you're not doing, invoices are so easy, especially if you're a distributor trying to 3-way match, all the vouching process. That's just gross. Look at the invoice standard. It's not that hard. So, and you have 33 of the largest suppliers currently adopting invoice. So this just kind of shows you where we're at in the life cycle. So get after it. All right, so let's just get into a few quick numbers here, updates. This looks familiar because I show this every time I present, but I've updated the numbers, so it's not stale. So right now, 89% of the ASI top 40 suppliers are currently adopting PromoStandards. I would argue that the 3 that aren't never will, because there's kind of those fake companies that ASI pounds into there. There are 159 unique suppliers with endpoints, meaning that, I think somebody stood up and 5 years ago and said they'd be happy if 100 suppliers adopted PromoStandards. We're at 160. We're not slowing down, so everybody get on board. There are 683 supplier endpoints. That's a huge number, right? We came from 3 in 2014, and here we are. The 6 largest suppliers in the promotional products industry today are fully adopting PromoStandards, right? That's your SanMars, your Alphas, your SNSs, your HITs, PCNA, and BIC. They are fully supportive of PromoStandards, rocking it end to end. So if you're sitting there, wondering, well, who's doing this? Well, they're doing it. So, Right now, and this number's not made up, so this is 1,000 distributors, 1,000 plus distributors benefiting from consuming promo standards. So where do we get this number from? So I took Starline's data. We have outstanding credentials and have transacted real promo standards transactions in the last 365 days with over 1,000 distributors. So if you're thinking that there's only 6 distributors that are consuming it, that's just a Staples, Halo, Geiger, Performa, Facilis thing, you're wrong. There's a ton of people out there using this. So I think, and I've preached this for years, the real power of adoption of promo standards comes on the back of the service providers. And we'll get into this in a minute of who the service providers are. But that's really where we get our numbers, right? You take a common SKU and their 400 members, and really starts to scale quick. And Performa's 500, partners, owner partners. I mean, it gets crazy fast. So in the first 2 quarters, like hardcore Rona time, we still were able to kick out a 30% growth in endpoints. So I mean, look, kudos to the industry. I think we've seen now more than ever the value of end-to-end supply chain automation. If you were sitting around, waiting for somebody to enter your order who was locked down in the old quarantine, it's probably not as good a position when some of these orders are just flowing through seamlessly. So ASI publicly releases some pretty good data every year. So what I did is I actually went through and of the top 45 or top 40 ASI suppliers, I went through and picked the ones and displayed the ones that are actually doing promo standards. You look down that list, obviously there's the big 6 up there. Some big ones right behind them. Those are all household names. But the most interesting piece of that is that about $9 billion in sales last year were done by the top 40 ASI suppliers adopting promo standards. Now you put that on C in our industry, right? That's about $15 billion in retail sales who are rocking along with promo standards. So it's not just something that is, just for a few companies. So this is a real deal. Get on board. I get this question a lot from a lot of the e-commerce providers, a lot of distributors who are looking to really partner with suppliers who have figured this out. But there is a handful, I think this is about 28 suppliers, maybe 21, who have gone end to end, meaning that they have offered, I put that life cycle of the standards up there. They pretty much offer every single one of our standards that are out there today. End to end, they're doing from inventory, purchase orders, product data, all the way through to invoices. So if you see one of your partners up there that you are currently doing business with, know that you can run the whole gamut up there. And obviously some of the names like Alpha, Sanmar is not up there, but I think I omitted them. Snug, Starline, Suida, SNS. There's some monster names on there, so get after it. Obviously, if you're a supplier sitting out there, you're wondering who can I integrate with? There's some pretty big names out there, right? Just the first 4 on the left, right? That's a large chunk of business being done in this industry. Obviously, Staples from the get-go has really been a huge piece of this. They were really ones that propelled this into the some large numbers. So if you're a supplier, take note of those companies because they're really making it happen. And in Canada too, we can't forget our Canadian brethren, Genumark, right? Genumark, obviously, Facilis has a lot of deep roots in Canada, as does Common SKU. Performa has a pretty good footprint of large distributors in Canada. So this is not just a U.S. only thing. I sit my office is 2 miles from the border, so I realize both sides of the transaction. And this works, right? We built this in, so it's multilingual, multi-country support, multi-currency, multiple FOBs. We've thought of that. So this is not just a USA only thing. So if you're saying Canada, hop on board. Like I said earlier, the power of promo standards to reach deep into the industry has really come on the back of the service providers. And I omit people and try to add people to this every year. But, obviously you got Sam and Dino over at Extendtech, really rocking the NetSuite fanboy world, doing an excellent job there for adoption. They're doing some cool things. If you're a NetSuite person, check them out. Common SKU obviously doing their own thing, making some significant headways in the PromoStandards purchase orders. And Terra seems to be, really riding high with some PromoStandards integrations in terms of that core 3, order status, order ship notifications, inventory. I mentioned Distributor Central earlier. They have some pretty cool products in the way that are going to launch next month that are just cored around PromoStandards. Essence been a founder of PromoStandards since day one. If anybody's contributed, they're one of the largest contributors to standards. My buddy ASI, Michael Conway at ASI, they really are digging their teeth into PromoStandards and building that as part of their offering over there as the OGs of promo there. And we can't forget our South African brethren, Zoom Catalog, who are really doing some pretty amazing things. I was a big proponent, thought that the old Flip catalog was dead, but wait till you see some of the cool stuff that they're doing with PromoStandards, how they're integrating data, PromoStandards product data and product pricing configurations into their search tools. It's pretty cool stuff. So if you're kind of looking to, how you can get involved with some of these people, hit up everybody that you know at your friendly service provider. So next I want to kind of get into the standards. I don't know, we could be going way too long, but we'll kind of see if we can speed of the old Rhino up here. So I want to get into a little bit of the details of the standards because that is what we're here, it's what we're doing. 2020 is busy for us. We started the year off, we launched 3 standards in Vegas. We launched Product Data 2.0. We launched our formal Invoice 1.0. We had this redhead stepchild. It was like 0.004 that had this wide adoption and really wasn't meeting the common standards principles that we had set out. So we kind of reined that in as Invoice 1.0 and re-released it in January 2020. Product compliance was a big gap we had. We realized that we needed to address the Prop 65 world very quickly. So we spun up a product compliance framework that really, and we'll kind of touch on this in a minute, that really answered those questions. And really what we're working on right now, and we're going to dive into this in a second, is we have 2 big standard revisions that we want to launch in 2020 at the end of the year. We were hoping this would be our large Vegas soiree of 2021, but we'll TBD that and kind of go with the flow there. But we have a standards committee that's really digging their teeth into these OSN and OS 2.0 standards. So we're getting ready to rock there. All right, so what I want to do here is I want to give you a quick nitty gritty product data 2.0 differences. So really why we want to do this, we sat in Vegas 2 years ago and the technology community said we need a product data standard that includes pricing, includes images, and includes decoration information. Now, if you know where we came from, we intentionally did not include this into our product data base standard because we wanted to have a robust pricing engine and configuration engine, which was product pricing configuration, and the overhead of images puked into the product data standard was way too complex, right? Starline has, an average of 100 images for every single product, right? That's just too much bulk to put into the product data standard. So we'd separated all that out intentionally as a part of good architecture practices. But then the community was like, well, we need a way to populate, basic information. So we circled back last year and we really addressed these things. So I want to kind of get into what these are. I was talking to Dr. Michael Conway today about, product data 2.0 and adoption. And it's really not where we want it to be because, there's so many people who sunk their teeth in the product data 1.0. So I, really, he kind of said, well, what is the purpose of product data 2.0? And really, the purpose is to replace that dumb Excel file people used for all these years, right? If you want to populate a website with some basic reference information, basic pricing, pretty much what that thing is that suppliers put in their catalog, this is really a standard for you. If you're looking to transact e-commerce, this is not the standard for you. It's not, it doesn't have as rigid of data that you really need to transact a fully configured order. You might be able to limp your way through it on certain product sets, but if you're looking to just slap up a search site, hit product data 2.0 and get running. So what are some pieces? I'm going to rifle through a bunch of changes here that we added in product data 2.0. Sorry, come down the road, I think. All right, so we added price, expires, date, right? So this is just some overhead. You'll see that we added a whole section of prices, but obviously if we're gonna add pricing, we need to let you know when it expires. We added a primary image URL. We did not go through and put in the 4 billion different image options in product data. If you want that, go to product media and you can get every single piece. You can get my art templates. You can get everything under the sun that you ever thought you wanted in terms of product media. We obviously added a product price group array, which we get into detail. We had this concept, we're trying to tie all of our standards together. So if we're going to release a compliance standard, we probably should tell you if we actually have any compliance information available for that product. So that we added that in there. Obviously, we added in the concept of imprint size. This is that weird Excel file field that everybody has where somebody pukes like 2 inches high by 2 inches wide, standard, or just anything goes, right? So we made that a string, put whatever you want in there, call it a day. Obviously, think back to, I hate using this analogy, but the Excel file that we tossed around for 20 years in the industry, there was always that one field that was called setup charge. Now, setup charge is kind of dumb because it didn't actually, there was, if I offer 47 different decoration methods, what did that mean? But a lot of suppliers have that standard. And what is that standard setup charge? What's the standard run charge? So we include that on here, and it does have value for those of you who are populating a website. And obviously the concept of FOB points, back to tying the standards together. In Inventory 2.0, we introduced the concept of FOB, inventory by warehouse locations. We just wanted to make sure that we're having continuity across all of our services, so we put that in there. We're just kind of a deep dive into the old FOB and decoration stuff here. So obviously FOB, it's a very legal term of legal jargon, but look, every supplier PO, every distributor PO, everybody cites an FOB point. So suppliers who are shipping out of Toronto, Buffalo, and Tampa, there's very much specifying their FOB points. It's really that freight origination. So yeah, so that's in there. The other part is we got into the decorations. So on the right side, you see there is where's the location, the max imprint color. So we try to take the key pieces out of PPC and create a minimum viable product that allows you to display reference information for decorations. It was obviously important to know what the name of it is at the front of the t-shirt. How can you do 1 or can you do 4 billion colors there? What's the name of it? Like every marketing department in the industry's got some wonky name for everything. We can't just call it silk screen or 4-color process. We have to call it like DigiBright 3000 2020. It's good times. So that's all in there. So one thing, and this came up last week in a conversation, we very, very much wanted to standardize colors in the industry. Now, it is a big leap for PromoStandards to go from standardizing data structure to standardizing data. But I think we picked a horrible spot to start. I've been advocating for 2 years to literally adopt the 64 Crayola crayon box, but the Crayola crayon box does not have things like a clear, does not have a multicolor. So what we have done here is we're trying to two-step the ways to standardizing colors. So if your color name is light blue, it obviously has a hex for light blue, approximate PMS, that all exists. But what's the standard color? Like, yes, your marketing department decided to call it light, happy blue on Sunday. But at the end of the day, what the industry cares, they care that is called blue. So we added standard color names. We didn't enumerate that intentionally. We're going to let it kind of stand on its own and hope that people we'll add some guidance into this area here. But we very much needed to start to get suppliers to think that you have this wonky marketing name, but at the end of the day, whip out your 12-pack of Crayola crayons, maybe even get crazy and go to the 24-pack of crayons. And what if you had to pick one of those, what's it going to be? Don't tell me it's sunflower, just tell me it's yellow. So off my soapbox, we'll get on to some cool stuff like pricing. So obviously one of the missing pieces in product data 1.0 is that we intentionally left pricing out. So we pretty much, I'm going to show you an example of this. So this is kind of a bunch of mumbo jumbo on the screen, but let's get after it here. So we obviously have this product pricing. We did this kind of key value pair, this group name, and I'm going to explain in a second, but you can kind of read for yourself what's on the screen. So what we did here is, we created this product pricing array that has your min, max, price, discount stuff for the industry, right? That's where we live and die. But at the same time, we allowed this free-form text group name. So everybody's got these groups of pricing. So, we have guidance where we say, this is your standard printed price. Just throw in there. So this is your standard price. Obviously currency, and then there's that big giant thing of text that everybody has on their website, the price includes. So that description is really your price includes statement. Conversely, if you're just rocking with blank pricing, your group name could be blank pricing. Now, if your group name, if you're Sanmar and it's, your dozen price, your each price, or your case price, well, that's what you can put in that group name. So it's pretty much that stuff you're putting on your website. Categorize it by group name, throw the whole pricing grid in there, call it a day, then you're up and running. All right, real quick, it's kind of, I think we're going on pretty long here, but we're not too much farther from the end. Invoices. So obviously in 2020, at the beginning of the year, we reined in invoicing. So what did that really provide, and kind of what were we missing? Is we really needed that line item level support for invoicing, right? A lot of the large distributors who have very sophisticated systems need line item detail. Some people just care that if I sent you a PO for $1,000, somehow my invoice equals $1,000. Well, that's cool for them, but there's some other people up in the upper Northwest who really, really care about every single line and every single penny being vouched and accurate on the PO to their invoice. So we tried to address that in this Invoice 1.0 standard. Obviously, we added some parameters that allow you to request by PO number, sales order number, which is the supplier order number, a date, an individual date. So a lot of the way things are done in our industry is, give me everything that was invoiced on, July 1st, on July 2nd. So that's how we roll. Just, I kind of give us a quick shout out. We did, there's a standard out there for product compliance. Pretty much if this matters to your company, you'll know all about this. But if you're trying to figure out, dig that deep into the world of compliance, figure out what has documentation, what needs to be labeled which way, definitely hit up our endpoints for product compliance. Not a lot that's actually about product compliance these days, but we got to mention it. All right, so where are we sitting here today? We have in production, right, inventory, 2 inventory versions, order status, order ship notifications, the product family there. Obviously, we released new product data, Invoice 1.0, product PPC, or product compliance 1.0. And then where are we really looking at right now? We have 2 standards in development. I mentioned earlier, OS, order status 2.0, and OSN 2.0. These OS 2.0 is going to be what I think Eric Schoenberger, myself, and Brian Perform are calling a game changer for the industry. So I rarely get excited about a lot of things technology-wise, but Order Status 2.0 is going to be a big old bombshell. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. So what are we really looking to accomplish in our Order Status 2.0 now that I've given it some hype? Up to this point, we've just been returning information, right? Here's your order. It's in production. Neat. That's awesome. Here's your order. It's it just shipped. So go over to OSN and get your shipping data, or it's complete. All right, what does complete mean? Not quite sure. To everybody, it means something different. So we're trying to take what was a very early standard of PromoStandards and convert it from just the neat of your order's complete, it's in production, we received it, which is very valuable information, but we need to turn that to actionable information, hold statuses, and resolutions, right? And imagine if, yes, I tell you your order was received, but it's currently on paper proof, and I'm waiting, it's on hold because it's on paper proof, or proof, electronic proof, whatever you want to call it, and here's the link for you to go and resolve this proof hold. If I tell you your order's on a credit hold, here's the link to pay. We're trying to get past that basic information of neat, it's on hold. Great. So now you got to pick up the phone, fire off an email. If I tell you it's on hold, and here's the steps for you to relieve this hold, pragmatically in your system, that's the next level stuff that we need to get to. We have to get past this basic information and start affecting the workflow of these orders, because these orders are just getting held up in this endless hold cycle, and this is how we really relieve and break through that. So obviously a big piece we missed in OS 1.0 was line item statuses. We were so caught up on the fact that suppliers take a distributor PO and we split it into multiple internal work orders that we somehow neglected to provide order status at distributor line item level. So now we have retained the concept of the distributor line item all the way through the order status, and then we're off to the races. And most importantly, since this was one of our initial order standards, we really kind of went willy-nilly and didn't have a true style formatting. Paul Fleischman at PCNA, we call him our styles are, because he really hones in and ensures that we are enforcing a standard style document, and not so much documentation, but our WSDLs, how we're constructing these things is consistent from one standard to the next. So that we're really developing that PromoStandards language and moving forward. All right, so real quick, kind of take a quick 180 from the technical aspects of it and talk about a few organizational aspects of it. So really, where are we going in 2020? 2020 is not what any of us thought 2020 was going to be. 2020 kind of sucks, actually. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're all getting through it. We're here doing some virtual tech summit. So let's keep on rocking here. So, as the organization matures or attempts to mature, it's interesting that they're maturing with me as the chair, something we would never thought. But anyway, so we're really trying to engage the community, and we've gone out this year and hired a interim admin to help us make sure that we're, doing the blocking and tackling that we need to be doing, and not just so much trying to bull rush forward with these standards to meet the needs. We obviously need to make sure that we have a communication network, somebody who can really, keep us in line in terms of organization from all of our committees, work groups, and board level. One thing we've done this year, we've spent a lot of time this year building out the committee and work group infrastructure. We found chairs for these committees to make sure that we have the right people who know what they're doing and who can reach out to their networks and get people involved, right? Get the right members and people who work for member organizations to really develop these standards. Like I said earlier, what we do with Order Standards 2.0, we have to develop consistent standards and specs, right? We can't have errors. There are companies that are building business models around these things. So, we're really making sure that we have a standards committee, which is awesome. These are the most technical people in the industry that they know how business is done, they know how tech is done, and they know how to meld these two together. One of the things is, Michael Conway's leading this push here is for best practices. A lot of suppliers went all wild west and did whatever they want with these standards, and we're trying to rein that in. But instead of just reining it in, we need to give them guidance of what's the best way to do. So if you see this price group, maybe you should put standard price or blank price, or they're starting to develop documentation and those business cases for every single standard, so that when you kind of walk into this cold, how to get started and what you should be doing with each of the fields and the standards. We're also looking at certifications. We need people to know and trust that when somebody posts an endpoint on PromoStandards or says they're PromoStandards compliant, that actually means something. We have to self-police the garbage that's out there, right? If you're one of those people who's injecting HTML into their product bullet points and the product data spec, please stop, right? So, but that's one of the things. As a small volunteer organization trying to grow into a larger volunteer organization, we have to develop these mechanisms to self-police data and standards to make sure that you can return what you want as long as it meets the standards. We're cool. And growing membership, right? There's a fine line between membership and adoption. We can't become overly obsessed with membership, but at the end of the day, membership is what's funding the organization. We have costs, which are, organizing education, organizing meetings, organizing, the IP, and, there we have hefty legal bills to make sure that we are protecting the organization. And at the end of the day, look, this session here is all about the evangelization of PromoStandards. We have education session next week. We'll have monthly education sessions. It's really getting people out there and just, telling their story. PromoStandards is making things happen, making big differences in the industry. So if you got a cool story, reach out to me, reach out to Kim, our admin. She's the admin at PromoStandards.org. Reach out to any board member. We want to hear it. It's not an 11-person rodeo. Let's get it going. Like I said earlier, right, we're in the middle of a membership push. The majority of our 2020 budget was actually based around a few large events that we were going to throw in conjunction with the Tech Summit. We were going to have education sessions, and we were going to really fund the committees to travel in person and get stuff done. And the Rona kind of put that on break. So, we've cut our membership rates in half for 2020 because we're very cognizant of the times, cognizant of what the industry, what businesses, small businesses, large businesses are going through. So we don't want to be insensitive to that. So what you'll see here, we have these dollar amounts on top of all these levels of membership. And just though in 2020 the advisory member has been cut in half. The 2,500 adopting is 1,250, associates 250. So one of the things, we have 3 different levels of membership that really kind of depends how much you want to get involved. If you really want to be a contributor, making sure that you're on some of the committees, that you're helping drafting standards, approving standards, all those things, you want to get at that top level. If you're kind of along for the ride, but you really do care about serving on a committee, getting involved in you don't want to get into the organizational aspects of it, but you just want to do some stuff. That's adopting levels for you. Or if that bottom tier there, the associate member, it's like if you just want to say, hey, I'm doing PromoStandards, get involved in our Slack channel, kind of do the basic stuff, but still know that you're contributing to the organization. If you trust me, if you're not getting $250 of value out of PromoStandards in a single year, you're probably doing something wrong. So that's out there. This next thing here, if you're really, my QR code there links to the application form to be a member. So if you're sitting there, your home computer, bust out it and take a picture of my QR code. It'll bring you to our job form, which is a membership application. We have an admin. So admin at PromoStandards.org. It's Kim. Kim is the nicest person you'll meet. So you reach out to her, shoot her some questions. If she doesn't know, she's going to hook you up with somebody who will know. We obviously have our website, which is PromoStandards.org. And then we have me. All right, my email is jnorris@starling.com. Now, obviously, I mentioned all 10 of our board members at the beginning. But reach out to somebody. We'll get you connected with the right person. There's a bazillion people out there who are doing PromoStandards stuff. So I don't even know how long we went. There was nobody out there in the back holding up a big card that said we're going too long. So yeah. So I think we're going to hang around for questions. There's some sort of Q&A session that's going on here. Just, like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up, hit Kim up, admin at PromoStandards. Thanks, everybody. It's been real. Let's go Bills, right? Bills are going to win the Super Bowl this year. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Keep on keeping on.